Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Christina and I like to colour. I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to the week and you all get the chance to do whatever it is that makes you happy. I recently got this box of Kalour 120 premium soft core pencils from Temu for $30. And I just wanted to go over my opinion of it. Not a review, I'm not an expert, anything like that. Dead bug. Better than a live bug, I suppose. First off, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to be doing all the fancy tests that I've seen people doing, showing the breaking point of the lead, although that does sound actually quite fun, getting a little scale and breaking the lead and seeing what pressure it breaks at. May do that just for the sake of doing it. I am just simply a person that loves pencils, and I know what I like and I know what I don't. Now while I'm talking here, I'm going to have a time lapse of me doing this picture here with these pencils. So I'm going to be giving my opinion, and that's all it is, my opinion. This is an Amazon colouring book. So because I used this book, this Amazon colouring book, the paper isn't fantastic. It's not crap, but it's not fantastic. So I used Prismacolors and Brut Funers on this page as well, just to see how they worked on the Amazon paper, just to compare it. And then I also used the Kalour colouring pencils in an adult colouring book by Millie Marotta. I'm not a huge fan of her style. It's more animals filled in with all these patterns, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Nothing wrong with it, I'm just not a huge fan of it. So I coloured in with these. The Amazon paper is not amazing quality, but as soon as I used the Prismacolors on it, on this one here, they blended to perfection. Like, you know, how do the Italians do it? Mwah, you know. Even though Brut Funers worked easier and better than the Kalour pencils did. In the Millie Marotta book that I used the Kalour pencils in, they worked pretty much the same as they did on this Amazon paper. So yeah, so pretty much what I describe how they work in here is also how they worked in the Millie Marotta adult colouring book. First off, I'd like to begin with the price. So 120 pencils for $30 from Temu. That's 25 cents each. That's pretty good. That's pretty cheap and inexpensive. If I compare it to a full set of Prismacolors, the 150 in Australia, the average price is $360. So that will be $2.40 per pencil. Yes, I did the math ahead of time. And I had to get help from my husband and my kids. Officeworks at the moment have, Officeworks in Australia, I don't know if Officeworks is anywhere else, has Prismacolors 150 for $299, so that's $1.99 each. So $1.99 each for a Prismacolor, or 25 cents each for these. Definitely cheaper to go with these. I've also heard that in America Prismacolors are a fair bit cheaper than they are here in Oz, but I don't know. So the Kalour pencils are definitely cheaper and more cost effective than other artist grade pencils. Now, that's always a good thing, right? Not always. It is most definitely a great starting point for the beginner or the hobby colorist who doesn't have much to spend on pencils. But I will say this, in my opinion, with these pencils, you will fight to get the quality of colouring that you will easily get with the Prismacolors and the Holbeins. I think a talented artist can definitely make great art with these pencils. But a beginner may have the issue that their work just doesn't blend as well as others. The pencils don't glide on the paper, And the white pencil barely covers any other colour, let alone blends the colours together. Sorry, sometimes when I talk fast, it's just, I don't know, apparently Australians do that. I talk fast. I do it. I'm trying to slow down. So if I was a beginner and I had these pencils, I have to be honest, I would give up. I would think that I was really shit at colouring. And I apologise for swearing, but I actually do swear a lot in my real life. Just about every sentence I say has a swear word in it, and I use a lot harsher words than that, and I'm not doing it to be insulting. That's just how I talk, and just how a lot of people I hang around with talk. We all put swear words in. So I try really hard not to swear on this channel. I will say the S word. I'll try not to say any of the others. So I figured out a combination to make a basic skin tone with these pencils, and I was surprised, to say the least, that I could and that I did. So I got a skin tone. The cream pencil in here has a bit of an orange tint, which I thought was weird, but I made it work with the colours that I picked for the skin tone. The first layer was very scratchy, definitely not like Holbeins or Prismas, which basically melt into the page. I don't go into the wax or oil issue with pencils because that just doesn't interest me, to be honest. I just go by how they feel and how I like them. So on this box it says softcore, which I presume means soft like a Prismacolor. I could go into it, I could investigate into all of it. I'm not interested in that. I just like to know how it feels and how it works. They were not soft like a Prismacolor or a Holbein, but they also were not hard and scratchy like a Derwent Lightfast. So they were kind of in the middle, but definitely not soft. So because of this, they were difficult to get a full layer and they were harder to blend together. They eventually do, but not like an artist grade pencil. I even got my Caran d'Ache blender out and tried to blend everything together with it, but it didn't help much like it does with all my other pencils. These ones here were just not going to blend the way that I wanted them to blend, unfortunately. If they're going to be called softcore pencils, then they should glide on the paper and they should blend wonderfully. On both the papers I used for these pencils, they didn't make it easy to glide or blend. Now, in my opinion, the white pencil is one of the most important pencils in the set, along with the black, for a number of reasons. Highlights, mixing, and blending. If you have a crap white pencil, then highlights are going to be a struggle. And this white pencil is, for lack of a better word, shit. Highlights are not going to happen. Blending barely happened, and when put on top of another coloured pencil, the white only just changed the colour a little bit. So on here, the white barely changed the colour. If I put a white Prisma or a white Caran d'Ache or a white anything, artist grade basically, on any other colour, it's going to change the colour, make it lighter, or change the red to pink, or things like that. I always say that Prismacolor white and black are better than most pencil sets I've used, except Holbeins. Holbeins have a wonderful black and a wonderful white, but they're so expensive that I just don't want to waste them. As a colorist that has a little experience under my belt, I can look at the Kalour white and say, no, you're bad. But if I was a beginner and I was using the Kalour white to get the highlights that I saw other people getting with their white pencil, I would feel dejected and upset at myself for not being able to do the same as others. But in reality, it is the white pencil's fault. The black is okay. It covers dark lines. It comes out black, which is good. So there were lines under there, it covered the lines. You need a lot of pressure to get the darkness of the black like the saturation of the black. And I would definitely rate the black better than the white, but not great. It works in a pinch, but I wouldn't do a black background with it because I just don't think it would be as good as the Prisma or the Holbeins. The feel of the pencils is my next topic. They remind me of the Brute Fooners, a little slippery, and they just feel a little skinnier than Prismas and all the other pencils, which makes holding them a little different. Maybe it's just me, but the skinnier pencils seem to be a little harder to hold and control, and I did notice in my time lapse of this that I do hold the pencil differently, and I think that's me trying to adjust for how it feels and how I have to hold it. When I say they're skinnier, I mean only by the slightest amount. My husband's favourite unit of measure is what he calls a B's D-I-C-K. It's a really small difference, as you can imagine. A B's D-I-C-K would be very small. It's only small, but it makes a difference to me, and they just feel a little uncomfortable. I had no problems with breakage. They certainly don't break easily like Prismacolors, which is good. I do find that frustrating with Prismas, but I deal with it because I like the pencils and the result. Sharpening them was fine. I had no issues, except they were a little slippery when I was trying to turn them, and I'm beginning to think that maybe I have sweaty hands. I could erase the Kalour pencils easily. So on here, I could erase them easily, and on here, I erased them easily to get texture. They didn't fight the eraser, which is good. I like to erase a lot in order to get texture, so I'm glad they were great in that situation. Light fastness, I'm going to say I highly doubt that they are. Something so cheap would not have the quality that Derwent Lightfast put into their pencils. Does that matter? It does, especially if you're wanting to sell anything coloured with them, like a portrait or a pet portrait or anything like that. I doubt they're going to stay Lightfast very long, and I dare say the colours will change. Will it matter in an adult colouring book closed up for most of the year, hidden away from the sun? Not immediately, but I have heard of the colours changing colour and the saturation of the colours diminishing in time. But if all you want to do is colour in an adult colouring book and then look at it once in a blue moon, I don't think the Lightfast issue will affect you for a while anyway. The colours in the Kalour box. They have a large variety of browns, reds, blues, greens, yellows, oranges and pinks. The greys are a little lackluster, and I use a fair amount of greys, so this was a little bit annoying. As you can see from the pictures on here, they have a lot of dark colours. It comes in this kind of cute little pencil case, but I can't shut it. I have problems shutting it. I don't know whether that's just me and my sweaty hands, or see, a lot of them are dark. They're alright, they're light. I'm going to lose everything. Everything's going to fall out. More dark colours, more dark, and some light. So they don't have many greys. I think they only had 2 greys. Light grey and dark grey, probably, I'm assuming. Yep, light grey and dark grey. So if you like using greys, you're going to be disappointed, and I like using greys. To be honest, I think Prismacolors don't have enough greys, and they have quite a few greys, so that's just me. I like to use greys. And a lot of them are dark colours, so these are pretty much the only light colours. The rest are just all dark. So talking about layers with the Kalour, you can definitely get layers on the paper. I got quite a few layers on here, which was great, which is what you want. But it was a struggle to blend them, and after a few layers I felt like the layer I was colouring was removing the previous layer. It sounds stupid, I know, but that is what it felt like the pencil was doing. So on here I could get the layers done, but it just felt like I was struggling and they were basically erasing what I'd already done. So it doesn't get as dark as what a Prismacolor, a Caran d'Ache or any of them will get. But it does layers. Mixing the colours, they all mix pretty well except the white. It did mix a little bit, but not as well as the other colours. So this one here is red mixed with yellow, makes orange. Red mixed with blue, it makes a kind of a purple. But the red mixed with the white didn't make pink and didn't make a lot of red. So all in all, the Kalour pencils work. They colour, they blend, they mix, they erase. They do everything you want a pencil to do, right? Yes, they do. But I don't want to struggle to get these things, and I did struggle with these pencils. Could I do a whole page of Kirby Roseanne's books with these pencils? Yeah, I could, and I probably get it done pretty well because I'm stubborn and I would keep going until I put a hole in the paper. Would I want to get a whole page of Kirby Roseanne's done with these pencils? Probably not, because I just didn't enjoy these pencils. I didn't enjoy using them, holding them, fighting with them, or even the actual colours. Yeah, they have a lot of colours, but they don't seem to have a lot of colours, if that makes sense. So they have a lot, but they don't have a lot. So they have a lot of pencils. They say they have a lot of colours, but it just doesn't seem to be like the colours you find with Lightfast and Prismas, and Prismas and that just have a whole better variety of colours, in my opinion. The variety of colours in other sets is so much more diverse than Kalour. Even Brut Funas have more colour variations than Kalour. In my opinion, these pencils are okay. They're definitely more cost effective than most pencils, and they work okay, but I don't like them. I think the cost has most people saying they are good, but I really don't think they are. I would love to compare them to the pencils they use in my children's primary school just to see if they are better or worse. Because I think the pencils I buy for my son's school would work similar. I would not buy these again, and I probably wouldn't use these much in my colourings because I just don't enjoy them. And when I colour, I want to enjoy it. I understand the cost issue of these, I really do. A few years ago, my husband couldn't even go out with his work colleagues for a coffee because we couldn't afford it. So I understand the desire to colour and the lack of funds. In that circumstance, these pencils are a great starter to get your confidence and to enable the person to afford a large set of pencils. I wish these kinds of pencils had been around a few years ago. I mean, they probably were, I just never looked, to be honest. Yeah. So they probably were around. On the flip side, if you can wait and save just a little bit more, I would get Prismacolors or something equal to Prismacolors. Or at the very least, get a Prismacolor black and white to help with the Kalour set. You will definitely see a difference with the help of the Prismas. I think these pencils are a great help to those who need a less expensive set of pencils to get started or to continue colouring. They do everything you need, but if you can, start getting Prismacolors or equivalent one by one if you have to. You will find the colouring happens easier and the blending is magic. Ratings, I don't really do ratings, but if I was picking my finger again, but if I was forced to give these a number, probably be about 5 out of 10. They colour, they mix, they erase, and they layer. Pretty average. Not a pencil I'll buy again, just my opinion. I'm sure others have different opinions, and that is great. That is what makes the world an interesting place, and everyone is different, and we all have different needs and opinions. These are great, cheap pencils, and that is what they are. They colour, blend, layer, but if you compare it to an artist grade pencil, you're not going to ever want to use these again. But if you just like to sit down and colour every now and then, great. These are great. But if you want to get right into colouring, or if you want to start selling stuff, I wouldn't. I would start with these, practice with these, but you're still going to struggle, and then you're going to wonder if you can do it until you get a real set of artist pencils, and then you're going to go, wow, colouring is not as hard as I thought it was when I have better pencils. These are a great starter. I wouldn't get them again. Just my opinion. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.